January 17, 1940. A gray dawn spreads over the frozen fields of northern France. Frost clings to the wings of a lone Hawker hurricane, engines rumbling in the cold air. The wind cuts through the cockpit as Flight Sergeant James "Jimmy" Halloway grips the controls, eyes fixed on the horizon. In the distance, 12 black silhouettes appear, slicing through the mist. Messerschmitt Bf 109 is, fast and deadly, descending in formation. Each man in the squadron senses the tension in the air, the crackle of the radio, the metallic scent of oil and fuel. Halloway's heartbeat syncs with the rhythm of the engine, every second stretching into eternity. One mistake now, and the sky will claim him. Then, with almost inhuman reflexes, he opens fire, his bullets tracing arcs of silver through the dawn. 12 enemies, 4 minutes. The unimaginable begins. The roar of guns sets the stage for the larger war beyond this icy battlefield. By early 1940, Europe was already steeped in conflict. The German Wehrmacht had swept through Poland in September 1939, using blitzkrieg tactics that stunned the world. France and Britain, still recovering from the shock, fortified their positions along the northern frontiers. The skies above Western Europe had become a deadly chessboard, with fighters and bombers patrolling every corridor. Air supremacy was no longer optional. It dictated the movement of armies, the survival of cities, and the fate of soldiers on the ground. The Royal Air Force, RAF, had mobilized quickly, but its resources were stretched thin. Hurricanes, the backbone of Britain's fighter squadrons, were state-of-the-art for their time, combining speed, maneuverability, and firepower. Pilots like James Halloway had trained for years, often flying in challenging weather, mastering gunnery drills that simulated the chaos of real combat. Every sortie carried the weight of life and death, every engagement a test of nerve and skill. Across the Channel, the Luftwaffe had perfected its own strategies. Messerschmitt Bf 109s, Germany's premier fighters, were sleek, powerful, and deadly accurate. Pilots were trained aggressively, often flying multiple sorties a day. Their doctrine emphasized precision attacks, coordinated formations, and exploiting weaknesses in enemy formations. Any misstep by the RAF could result in devastating losses. The tension in the skies mirrored the tension on the ground. France fortified its Maginot Line, Britain mobilized airfields along the coast, and every radar station and observation post watched for the shadow of German wings. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test skill, courage, and technology in ways few could imagine. The skies were a crucible, and pilots like Halloway were about to prove what one man could do under impossible odds. Halloway's squadron had been stationed near Arras, northern France, a key sector where the threat of Luftwaffe raids was constant. The airfields themselves were sparse and vulnerable, often little more than grass strips bordered by hedgerows. Mechanics worked around the clock, repairing engines, replacing guns, and patching bullet-riddled fuselages. Every pilot knew that a single sortie could end in glory or disaster. Intelligence reports painted a clear picture. The Luftwaffe was probing Allied defenses relentlessly. Reconnaissance missions had revealed formations of Bf 109s flying in tight finger-4 formations, maximizing firepower while minimizing vulnerability. These reports were grim, especially for the RAF, which relied heavily on hurricanes to intercept these fast, agile fighters. Commanders emphasized coordinated attacks, tight formations, and disciplined gunnery, yet the experience gap between seasoned Luftwaffe pilots and many RAF crews was stark. Despite this, morale in Halloway's squadron remained high. Pilots relied on one another, forming bonds forged in the sky. Every takeoff demanded calm. Every dogfight demanded instinct. Training had taught them to anticipate enemy maneuvers, to calculate angles of attack in split seconds, and to trust the Hurricane's 8 303 caliber machine guns to deliver decisive fire. Still, the threat of multiple enemy aircraft attacking simultaneously was a nightmare scenario. On that January morning, the elements themselves added to the danger. Frost-laden runways made takeoffs treacherous. Visibility was limited, clouds low, the wind slicing across open fields. Radar coverage was incomplete, meaning sightings of enemy formations often came just minutes before contact. Pilots had to act instantly, relying on skill, intuition, and courage. For Holloway, the confrontation was not just a test of technique, but of mental resolve. Each decision, each trigger pull, would ripple through the squadron's strategy, through the fate of the aircraft under his protection, and through the broader aerial war taking shape over Europe. The stage was set. Human Angle James Holloway was 24, a seasoned pilot whose calm under pressure was legendary among his peers. Years of training had honed his reflexes, but experience alone could not prepare him for the chaos of 12 Bf-109s converging in minutes. Fear was ever present, yet controlled. His hands gripped the controls with precision, eyes scanning, calculating trajectories in real time. Each heartbeat mirrored the rhythm of the engines. The human element, courage, focus, and split-second decision-making would be the defining factor in what was about to unfold. Tactical angle. The engagement relied on positioning and formation strategy. Hurricanes, while robust, were slower than the Messerschmitts in a dive. RAF tactics emphasized surprise, altitude advantage, and concentrated fire. Holloway's positioning above the German formation allowed him to dictate the engagement. Every maneuver had to account for the Bf-109's speed, climb rate, and attack angles. A single miscalculation could turn advantage into catastrophe. Technological Angle Holloway's Hurricane was equipped with 8 303 Browning machine guns, firing 1,000 rounds per minute collectively. The Bf-109s, in contrast, were lighter, faster, and carried cannons and machine guns capable of tearing through the Hurricane's fuselage. The engagement was as much a duel of engineering as of skill. Reliability, rate of fire, and ammunition management were critical. One jammed gun or empty belt could shift the balance instantly. Enemy angle. The Luftwaffe pilots were seasoned and aggressive. They relied on disciplined formations, coordinated attacks, and exploiting any hesitation. A swarm of 12 fighters presented an overwhelming threat. Their strategy aimed to encircle and isolate individual hurricanes, understanding enemy behavior, predicting their flight paths, attack patterns, and response times was essential for survival. Holloway's actions were about to intersect these angles, where human skill, tactical acumen, and technology would collide with the relentless precision of the Luftwaffe. Leadership Angle Squadron. Leadership played a silent but crucial role. Squadron leader Tom Whitaker had drilled Holloway's unit relentlessly, emphasizing initiative and decisiveness. Pilots were trained to act independently when necessary, but always in alignment with overall mission objectives. Holloway's confidence was rooted in this guidance. He knew when to hold formation, when to engage alone, and how his actions would influence the morale and survival of the squadron. Moral angle. The stakes were not merely tactical, but ethical. Every decision in the sky carried consequences for human life, both enemy and friendly. Pilots faced the moral weight of taking lives in split seconds, often while knowing that hesitation could mean death for themselves or comrades. Holloway's resolve was anchored in this dual responsibility, to neutralize the threat while minimizing unnecessary risk to his squadron. Psychological angle combat psychology dictated reactions. The roar of 12 attacking Bf-109s could paralyze an inexperienced pilot, yet Holloway thrived under pressure. Focused adrenaline sharpened his instincts. Anticipation, pattern recognition, and risk assessment unfolded in milliseconds. This mental edge allowed him to maneuver with precision, identifying weak points in enemy formations and timing his shots to maximum effect. Environmental angle weather, terrain, and altitude shaped every engagement. Frost, low clouds, and the pale January sun limited visibility, while the open fields of northern France offered little cover for a downed pilot. The sun's glare could betray position or conceal an enemy approach. Understanding and exploiting these environmental factors gave Holloway a subtle but decisive advantage in the chaos of aerial combat. The convergence of these angles, human skill, leadership, moral responsibility, psychology, and environment, set the stage for an extraordinary display of aerial warfare. Every element would soon coalesce over the skies of northern France. January 17, 1940, 08:42 a.m. Holloway climbs to 10,000 feet above Arras. The 12 Messerschmitt Bf-109s are converging fast, their engines shrieking through the morning mist. He locks onto the lead aircraft, noting the subtle shifts in formation. Every second counts. The first pass begins. Holloway dives, guns spitting a precise stream of 303 caliber rounds. The lead Bf-109 shudders, smoke trailing, then spirals down into a frozen field below. The Luftwaffe formation reacts instantly, breaking formation to retaliate. But Holloway's situational awareness keeps him ahead. He twists the Hurricane through tight banking maneuvers, exploiting altitude and momentum. Each turn calculated to maximize firing angles while minimizing exposure. Bullets tear through the second aircraft. Flames erupt from its fuselage. Another goes down in a spin, trailing black smoke against the gray sky. 4 minutes will define his name in RAF history, yet each second stretches into eternity. His muscles burn with tension. His eyes flick from target to target, calculating trajectories, timing bursts perfectly. At 08:46 a.m., 6 Bf-109s have been destroyed. The Luftwaffe formation is fractured, morale faltering. The surviving enemy attempts to regroup, diving aggressively. But Holloway anticipates each move. The roar of engines, the staccato rhythm of gunfire, the whistling of shells. These sounds become a synchronized battlefield orchestra. His actions are no longer just survival. They are surgical. Every shot is deliberate, exploiting weaknesses in engine placement, cockpit exposure, and wing structure. Holloway's Hurricane dances through the chaos, unscathed, while the enemy falters under precision and instinct. By 08:48 a.m., Holloway faces the last 6 Bf-109s. They are scattered, desperate, some attempting head-on attacks, others diving steeply to escape. His breath fogs in the cockpit, adrenaline heightening every sense. With split-second timing, he positions the Hurricane above an enemy cluster. 8 guns fire in controlled bursts, tracer rounds stitching arcs through the morning mist. Planes begin to fall in rapid succession. One spirals into a frozen pond, another smashes into a distant tree line. Holloway's focus never wavers. His training and instinct are one. Observers on the ground later reported seeing smoke trails crisscrossing the sky, each marking a vanquished Bf-109. In just 4 minutes, 12 enemy fighters are neutralized. An unprecedented feat in aerial combat. The Luftwaffe pilots who survive retreat, their formations broken, morale shattered. The psychological shock is immediate. The legend of a single gunner capable of decimating a squadron spreads rapidly. Holloway levels his aircraft, scanning the horizon, listening to the echo of engines fading. The roar of battle subsides, replaced by an eerie calm, the aftermath of destruction hanging over northern France like a gray shroud. This moment, defined by skill, courage, and precision, signals not just a personal triumph, but a pivotal shift in the RAF's engagement with the Luftwaffe. It is a turning point in how aerial encounters are fought and remembered. The skies over northern France fell silent after Holloway's 4-minute onslaught. Ground crews and soldiers on nearby airfields emerged from foxholes and hangars, stunned by the destruction. 12 Bf-109s destroyed, countless enemy pilots killed or forced to retreat. Reports filtered quickly through RAF command. A single Hurricane pilot had altered the tactical landscape of the day. Holloway became an instant symbol of precision and courage. His actions studied in debriefings and training sessions. RAF leadership praised the feat, but also analyzed the vulnerabilities it exposed. The Luftwaffe's formations, once considered disciplined and unbreakable, showed cracks under sudden, highly skilled aggression. Squadrons were reminded of the value of experience, quick thinking, and individual initiative. Intelligence reports later confirmed the German loss of trained pilots, a blow that echoed in upcoming missions and planning. The local population, unaware of every detail, saw the aftermath differently. Smoke columns rose from forests and frozen fields. Aircraft wreckage littered the landscape, a stark testament to the intensity of aerial warfare. For civilians, the spectacle of destruction was terrifying, yet awe-inspiring. A reminder that the skies above were as dangerous as the battlefields below. The victory was both tactical and psychological. RAF pilots gained confidence, knowing that skill and courage could tip the scales even against overwhelming odds. At the same time, the Luftwaffe was forced to reconsider engagement strategies, wary of repeat incidents. The broader implications of Holloway's engagement rippled beyond that January morning. RAF squadrons began integrating lessons learned: altitude advantage, precise targeting, and the psychological edge of audacious maneuvers. Training emphasized anticipation of enemy tactics, rapid decision-making, and disciplined use of firepower. Pilots studied Holloway's flight path, burst timing, and evasive maneuvers, turning his actions into a tactical blueprint. For the Luftwaffe, the losses were sobering. 12 Bf-109s downed in 4 minutes represented not just aircraft, but highly trained pilots. German command issued reports stressing caution against isolated RAF fighters, particularly those operating at higher altitudes with clear lines of attack. Morale among some Luftwaffe units wavered, while others redoubled training efforts to avoid similar surprises. The event also reinforced the human element in warfare. Machines and technology mattered, but it was skill, judgment, and courage under pressure that proved decisive. Newspapers in Britain, though constrained by wartime censorship, celebrated the heroism quietly, emphasizing the symbolic value of such feats in boosting morale on the home front. Strategically, the RAF began to understand the power of individual initiative within coordinated operations. Holloway's engagement became a case study in how one pilot, fully aware of his environment and enemy, could achieve results that reshaped tactical thinking. The day had proven that aerial combat was not only a contest of numbers and machines, but also a test of nerve, instinct, and precision. Holloway's extraordinary feat transcended the numbers. 4 minutes, 12 Bf-109s, and the resolute focus of one man reshaped how the RAF approached aerial combat. It demonstrated that skill and courage could outweigh overwhelming odds. The technology was powerful only when wielded with precision. The encounter also revealed the human cost and complexity of warfare. Each destroyed plane carried a story: a pilot, a family left behind. Yet within this destruction lay lessons in strategy, training, and psychological resilience that would echo throughout the war. In the cold skies over northern France, a single gunner had done more than shoot down enemy aircraft. He had proven the power of preparation, anticipation, and relentless focus. History would remember not just the tally of victories, but the moment when human skill rose above chaos, leaving a legacy that inspired generations of pilots and defined a standard of aerial excellence. The skies had witnessed both fury and precision, and the war above Europe would never be the same.